Merry Christmas Eve, guys. It is.
Oh.
What?
Don't listen to me. I'm not paying attention.
Not quite with it?
No, I'm quite content being.
Can you hand me my notebook?
Oh, I thought you wanted your coffee. Why are you using my mug?
Because my mug is in the washer. It is been an interesting day. Our sheep are mad at us because we did not let them out after the last couple days. We just decided it was safer to leave them in. We do think we figured out where they jumped again. So we are going to remedy that solution probably in the next, I don't know, Tuesday after Christmas gets over and I have a little more extra time. But I said we were going to go live today to answer some of your questions. And I've got a couple of them that were asked of me earlier. I have my daughter here that is going to help, but she is reclusing for the moment. She doesn't want to be on camera or to pay attention to anything that's going on other than
I'm paying attention.
her little world.
Yes, this is my little world.
Her little world. So one of the questions I got was how I came to farm sheep, and more specifically, the breed of sheep we have. So
They're mutts.
They are mutts. That is true. I mean, they are dairy sheep. They are a mix between Lucane, Asaf, East Frisian, and then we throw in a little bit of Icelandic and Finn sheep just for the sturdiness and durability of our sheep. When we first got into dairy sheep, we were told by several people that you want your water?
Yes, please. Sorry. I was trying to debate about how I was going to get to it.
We were told by several people that East Frisians are the Holstein cow of the sheep world. If you've ever been around Holsteins, we raised more than our share. We used to bottle baby Holstein calves.
Yeah.
And
I miss those days.
My daughter, that's what made her love cows so much.
Cows.
And I'm not a cow person. So anyway, what we were told is that Holsteins, they kind of want to
kill themselves.
They basically want to die as soon as they're born. And so we were told that East Frisians are kind of the same way. They don't have a lot of will to live. They're very fragile. And so, of course, that was the first sheep we bought because that's what everybody said. You had to have, if you were milking sheep, you have to have East Frisian sheep. They're the top milkers. They're the top everything. So that's what we did. We went and we bought, and you cannot get purebred East Frisian in the U.S. You can get them from Canada. In fact, I know there were, I want to say 5 purebred East Frisian rams imported this year from Canada. But again, their babies are going to be mixed, but you still will get that higher percent of East Frisian. And I have come to the conclusion for myself, not for everybody, just me, that I don't like East Frisian sheep. Their wool is incredibly hard to get through. Even when we have professionals come, they're always saying how much harder it is to shear them. And they are extremely, they really are fragile. I mean, you
can sneeze at them wrong and they'll drop over and die.
You can sneeze at them wrong and they'll drop over and die. They're just not the healthiest sheep. And I don't know if it's because they've been crossed with so much stuff, or if it's because they have so much inbreeding in them. I don't know the answer to why East Frisian sheep seem to be so fragile. But that's why we throw in the Icelandic and the Finn that are a heritage breed. They're sturdier. They are just...
They're not better, but they help the genetics.
There you go. They're not better. They just help the genetics. So that's what we aim for. Better genetics, healthier lambs, sturdier lambs. I am really happy that this last breeding group, we only lost the one lamb at 2 days old. Everything else has been just super hardy and fabulous. And that makes my day. But anyway, so how did we get into sheep? I made a stupid comment to my husband, to be completely honest. I just, one day out of the blue, I told him I wanted to milk sheep. No, I wanted to get sheep to milk.
And I thought this started with you wanting to not have to buy any more yarn.
And I don't know even how it came about. I don't know if I had seen something on YouTube, on Facebook, I don't even know. I mean, who comes up with milking the sheep out of the blue? Apparently me. I must have seen something somewhere. So he kind of, yeah, okay, whatever. And next thing I know, he's saying, let's go get some sheep. So we ended up with 6 Icelandic ewes and a ram. They're the furthest thing from dairy sheep, but they were my introduction to sheep, and they were pretty cool. Icelandics are still my absolute favorite sheep. I would pick them hands down if I was just going to have sheep, not worry about meat, not worry about wool, not worry about milking. I would pick Icelandics hands down. So once we got those, my husband was talking to a farmer friend of his that he used to stack hay for. And he made mention that I had these sheep and I was going to milk them, thinking this guy was going to think I was insane too. Funnily enough, he also was wanting to milk sheep and had bought, oh gosh, I want to say at that time he had probably 30 or 40 head of sheep. And he said, we'll buy the equipment if you can provide the land. And that's what we did. We built a dairy barn. We built the milking room. We built a kind of a processing room. And then we decided we probably ought to jump in with both feet and not just have the Icelandics. So we drove to Nevada and bought, I want to say 20. It was 20 or 25 head of dairy sheep. And we have never looked back. It one offhanded remark, and 10 years later, we have over 300 head of sheep and a lot of issues. If you've watched my YouTubes, you know we have a lot of issues. Our sheep are continually out due to bad fencing, cows that have no respect for fencing. Not our cows. We had some renters that had their cows here. And so we are in the process last probably year and a half of replacing all the fencing on the entire property. And that is, we have over 120 something acres. That's a lot of fencing. We've started with the perimeter fencing to keep our sheep from visiting the neighbors when they're not supposed to visit the neighbors, like ever. And so we have slowly been working to get that taken care of. Hopefully within the next year, we will have all the rest of the perimeter. We only have 3 more fences to do for the perimeter, and then it will be done. And then we can start working on the interior. But the last couple days, our sheep have been jumping the fence down by the barn where the cows have made it sag. And we've tried to reinforce it with other panels and gates and that kind of stuff. And it's not holding. So I will be tearing all that down this week as long as the weather stays sort of decent. And then we will go ahead. The posts are already there. All we have to do is stretch the fence, and then I can freeze my little hands off putting clips on. So that is a very short explanation as to how we got into sheep farming. And what kind of breeds we have. I personally am trying to get away from the East Frisians and move more into the Lucane. I say it both ways. I don't know which way is actually right. And the Asaf. I am a huge component of the Asaf sheep. I love them. Our ram Ace that just died, he was our first Asaf ram before we even knew what Asaf was. And then we bought Elvis a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago now. And so he is our up and coming ram. We're just trying to get away from the issues we have with the East Frisians. So we are flooding our flock with the Lucane and the Asaf in hopes that we will have the sturdier sheep that don't want to die if you look at them. So that is basically what we have for sheep. I did have somebody ask me, oh, the dogs, the dogs. Oh, I have people that are always so mad about our dogs and why they live at the barn. I think the comment was, why do we keep our dogs at the barn? Like I said, we have 120 some odd acres. Our dogs we don't keep them there. They have all this area to roam. They prefer to be there. And that is twofold. First off, when we got our livestock guardian dogs, we did not send anything out back. Everything was contained in like 20 acres at the barn. There was no sending them out there. We didn't do any of that. We only had at that time, I want to say we maybe had 50, 60 head of sheep. So we didn't have any reason, thus the reason we had the cattle here, because we didn't have a reason to put the sheep out back. We just didn't have enough of them. And they couldn't eat down the grass fast enough before it went to seed and went bad. So that's why we had the cattle here to eat the grass. And then the sheep lived in the barnyard where we had those pastures for them. And the dogs just automatically, the barnyard became where they patrolled, where we kept the sheep, and they walked the perimeter of all those fence lines. And Casper is the one that was born here. He's our male. And he was born in the barn. He just had a birthday in November. Mm-hmm. I want to say he wasn't born in 7. The barn.
He was born up in this kennel.
No, Casper was born in the barn. And Slick was born. No, we didn't have the November babies in this kennel. Mm-hmm. Okay, so he was born in the barn. And
don't listen to me then. I know what I'm talking about.
Okay. He was born in the barn. I know that because I have pictures of it. We may have moved them into the kennel, but he was born in the barn.
He was born in the shed, Mama. And
okay.
We moved him
he was born somewhere on the farm. I don't know.
Slick was born in the old barn.
No, Slick was born in the old shop. Remember, she dug the hole under the deal?
Yeah, the brown one.
Yeah.
The old barn.
The old shop.
Potato. The brown
we
one.
We have too many buildings.
The cat barn.
The cat barn. There you go. The cat barn. Yes, where the cats now live. So anyway, he was born somewhere on the farm. And so he has his first year with his mom is when we were lambing in the barn. So he was born in November. By February the next year, when we were lambing in the barn, his mom was patrolling down there. So therefore, he learned how to basically stay with the sheep in the barn. That has always been where he stays. If we have sheep in the barn, he is right there. And since we do use the barn for lambing now, we didn't used to. We used to lamb everything out on pasture. But once we got so many sheep, we had to switch to the barn so that we could keep a better eye on things. And he's just always lived at the barn, patrolled down in there. I mean, they do patrol out back. We find their prints from one end of the farm to the other. So it's not like they just stay there all the time. they do maneuver around. But Patty, who is our female, when we got her, she also lived in the barn. We had her and her sister we ended up having to rehome because the two of them together were a very, very bad deal.
They wanted to be puppies.
They chased the sheep. They never actually killed anything that I can remember.
No, they didn't.
But they were constantly chasing sheep. And once we got rid of her sister, Patty stopped chasing, and she has become an amazing dog. She's the one that you will find in the creek all the time because she's patrolling that area and keeping the coyotes out.
When I come home late at night, she's the first one to greet me in the.
Oh yeah, she lays in the driveway, watching everybody who comes in and out, making sure nobody comes in who isn't supposed to be here. So they really are good dogs, and they try. But we have over 120 acres, 2 dogs, 300 sheep. I need more dogs. My husband doesn't want any more dogs. So we do our best. We this year we have had coyote issues, and we have not had coyote issues since the first year that we had sheep, and that was in 2014. I think that's when we got them. We got them in like September of 2014.
I don't know. You pulled me out of school one day and then didn't tell me where we were going, and then I had to wrestle sheep with Dad.
Okay, I remember none of that. So
yeah, that's when I was in school. It was when we went to go get the darn things.
We went up to Shoshone when I got home from work at 6:00 in the evening, because I was still working at the bread store.
Oh, I thought y'all picked me up. Okay.
That could have been a different time.
That probably could have been a different time we went and got sheep.
Could have been when we went to Nevada. So anyway, we do our best. We're not perfect. We've been doing this for 10 years, and I am still learning. I make mistakes. I'm not perfect. I wish I was, but we do our best. Let's see. There was one more question, and the shears. So when our shears broke, we had somebody comment that always keep 2 pair. I 100% agree. But where these cost like $800, I wasn't willing to shell out that money for 2. And with the East Frisian wool that is so incredibly thick, the store-bought stuff, I mean, these are a professional shear set that were recommended to us by the guys that used to come to our sheep before they decided to retire. And I love them. They work really great. But the cables do. I didn't know that the cables always have a tendency to break. We've never had this kind of set of shears before, and they are a learning experience. But the little handheld ones that you can pick up at like Tractor Supply, or that's the only one that I know that's like countrywide. But they don't really seem to work for our sheep. The blades break. We can't hardly get them through that thick East Frisian wool, which is why I love the Lucane. Now the Asaf do have thicker wool too, but it seems to slide off them a little bit easier than it does the East Frisian. That stuff is like, I don't know. The Lucane is nice and short, and we have several of our ewes that will kind of slough that off of the Lucane breed, and I absolutely love that. But then you throw the Icelandic in there, that even though they make sturdier sheep, their wool is really, really, really thick. So anyway, you got anything you want to add, little miss? No? You want to tell what you're planning on doing next year?
What am I doing next year? Podcast. We'll worry about that at a different time. You do yours.
So we are going to wrap this up. I promised I would keep it to about 20 minutes. And so my daughter is and has been wanting to do a podcast for a while. So have I. and she is
theme.
starting. Oh yeah, we'll get to that. So starting in January, hopefully January 1st, if not somewhere in there. February?
End of February, beginning of March at the latest.
Okay, so somewhere between January and March, she is putting out a podcast called Chaos and Critters. Do you want to explain what it's about?
Chaos is basically going to be about all the spooky, scary things in the world.
Spooky, scary things in the world that you don't want to explore? Or you want to explore, you don't want to meet?
Yeah.
That was it.
So basically, any of the supernatural cryptids, anything like that, the stuff you are willing to watch teen dramas about, but don't want to meet in real life unless his name is Edward Cullen.
Okay.
Or Damien.
So that is going to be her project. I am helping her with that. We are working out all the kinks. And then I also am going to start a podcast. We have been doing some recording on it. We've also been recording on hers too. And so we will, starting January 1st, we will put out our first podcast. It will be Diary of a Sheep Dairy Farmer. And basically we will talk about everything from buying sheep, selling sheep, lambing, breeding, milking sheep, obviously, and going all the way until basically from point A to point Z and everything in between and outside. Hopefully I will be able to get some other dairy farmers on the podcast to talk about, because not everybody has 300 odd head of sheep and 100 plus acres. Some people have 3 sheep in their 1.5-acre backyard. And I love seeing all the perspectives of everybody, from the small sheep farmers to the large sheep farmers. I know people that have 2,000 head of dairy sheep, and I'd love to talk to them too. So we'll see how it all goes. But that's the plan for there. And then my daughter reminded me, our theme. Every year we do a name theme.
You're going to make me be in this,
I am. What's our name theme for this year?
Well, since I'm turning 21, there's going to be alcohols and liquor, and plus I'm working as a bartender now, so I think it's fitting. I also think it's going to horrify some of the neighbors.
It could horrify some of the neighbors.
When they hear us shouting, "Sex on a beach, get back here!"
Oh, we're not naming one that.
No?
We'll stick with like whiskey and bourbon and the nice names.
No.
Okay. Anyway, so our name theme for 2024 will be liquor and, what'd you say? And alcohols.
So pretty
much anything
meaning that the ram you keep this year, will you
2 rams.
Oh, the 2 rams you keep, 2 to 3 rams you keep this year.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna have Bud
and Wiser.
No.
Good.
You're gonna have Bud. You're gonna have Keystone, and you're gonna have Coors. Those are the 3 names you get.
Those are the 3 names.
No other beers.
Okay, I have been limited to 3 rams to keep this year, and she already picked out the names. So
you get to choose who is who.
We'll see how that works. All right, guys. Thank you for joining me today. I do appreciate it. It has been super fun just talking about my sheep, because that is like my biggest passion. Other than my daughter. I do love her too, but I really love my sheep.
Oh. Don't be fooled. She loves them more than me.
So we will see you guys on the next one. I did record yesterday, so therefore it will come out tomorrow on Christmas, and then we'll get back into our normal scheduling. But we hope everybody has a very Merry Christmas tomorrow, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.